What is up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to the channel, whether you're here live or later after the fact. As always, appreciate you. Yeah, big news today. Just had a podcast last night, but decided because of this massive news, I didn't want to wait a week to talk about it. So, hey, this is kind of like a MAV cast. So, we haven't had one of these in a while. And even though last night's show kind of started as that, didn't end up that way. But yeah, we got a Mavcast here, and huge breaking news as WB has a new daddy. It's been, talked about that they're being shopped around for a while now. There was talks about Paramount or all these different kinds of conversations about who was going to end up with WB. And today we have a winner because it seems like this is going to happen. Now, of course, it's got to go through all the scrutiny and everything and get approved because this is like a $83 billion deal. But WB, Warner Brothers, is heading to Netflix. Yeah, Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers for $83 billion, and that has a lot of implications. It has implications on movies, TV shows, streaming services and subscriptions, but also gaming. And also, I would say gaming subscriptions as well, because Netflix has one. Well, included, I guess, kind of in their top tier with their Netflix subscription tiers or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty crazy here. We got Netflix acquiring WB. Now, see a lot of people not happy about this. It's like people are calling it like a dystopian future where Netflix owns everything. Um, Lots of huge properties. Netflix is gonna have the rights to now, and I kind of want to go through and see everything that's gonna like try and figure out what's gonna happen here because HBO Max, like Game of Thrones is in there. That's something that I've already watched all of Game of Thrones, but me and Kate have been watching it again because she had never seen it. So been trying to get her to get through the Game of Thrones series, and it's still amazing. But yeah, they got that. They got, I mean, Mortal Kombat, DC stuff. Just its implications of this are huge across the board. It's just absolutely monstrous. Okay, it says winter is coming. Rainbow says I don't like this deal. BT Mavericks says hey what's up BT. Mr. Waffle says crazy news. I mean, what was WB really doing with their properties anyway? Yeah, so that's the other thing is like, well, WB has had so much trouble in recent years trying to figure themselves out. Like, I figure, I think kind of after the whole AT&T thing didn't work out, and then they got merged with WB Discovery. It was like, okay, well, that's gonna change a lot of things. We'll see what's gonna happen. But as we talked about here, when that deal happened, it was kind of like felt like it was a temporary thing, where that was going to be maybe sold off again in the future, maybe as like a trying to build up something more enticing um, to other companies. And well, it turns out that's kind of accurate. Now, there's been a lot of speculation with gaming about, could like some Microsoft get them, but they got ABK. Who else could be a player here? Let's talk about Amazon. Lots of different possibilities. Other streaming services like Paramount and stuff, but like Netflix is huge. And for me, what I think about most and what I care about most is some of the franchises and brands that they have, like the DC stuff. Like what's going to happen with that, and not just for movies and TV shows, but for gaming as well, right? Like Rocksteady put out Suicide Squad. That game flopped big time, even though I think it's a good game, and kind of wrongfully got dragged through the mud just because it wasn't the next Arkham. game, the next Batman game. You know, but still think it was a good game. But they also have stuff like Hogwarts Legacy and stuff like that. So they've had their hits, they've had their misses over there at WB Games with Rocksteady and some of the other studios that they have, like NetherRealm. I think Mortal Kombat, this last one didn't do as good as they had hoped. Also, um, they changed some things with it. I think it's a great game still. I actually really enjoyed the campaign, but I think it didn't do the numbers that they were quite anticipating comparatively to the last Mortal Kombat games. So yeah, their whole games division. I we kind of talked about how are they going to handle this with when they were WB Discovery, because they had the home run with Hogwarts Legacy right after the acquisition, but they're reaping all the rewards of years of work. And I think they just expected every game to do like that. When Suicide Squad didn't hit, they're like, "Oh shit!" moment. Oh shit. Uh, this isn't a guaranteed huge thing, and honestly, Hogwarts Legacy kind of carried them for a little while. Um, they were like, "Oh, I wouldn't expect this great stuff from the gaming division." They started hyping it up, and then as soon as some of the games didn't hit, they started downplaying it. Like, "Oh wow, this is we need to restructure and handle our games differently." And the person that was in charge of WB for a while was just making tons of huge mistakes with all across the board. Um, so we'll see. How is this going to be handled? I want to get into some of the stuff that was said. But shout out to everybody again for watching. Mr. Waffle says, the canceled Wonder Woman game, Nemesis Engine, and how they mishandled their legacy Looney Tunes. Yeah, I mean, tons of different things. I mean, they even like there was also like movies that they had fully made and then canceled. You remember that? Like they had fully made movies that some people were like happy with behind the scenes, and people were like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good," but they decided to scrap it. There's this really weird stuff going on. Rainbow says, "Let's not forget how Netflix closed its AAA studio. They don't have an appetite for AAA development." Well, they were also trying to get started with AAA development, building from the ground up, from scratch. So maybe the fact that they already have some established studios with some revenue already coming in and all those other things, and now they also have their Netflix gaming thing kind of going a little bit better. They just added Red Dead Redemption 1 to the Netflix gaming sub. Maybe they can look at this and have a catalog of games to offer into there, draw even more subscribers into their Netflix subscriptions, and then also look at maybe being able to provide more content gaming wise and stuff to it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they have the appetite for, because gaming is a very expensive, long endeavor with development for AAA games, and it has a huge payoff, but also is a huge risk each time they do it. So we'll see. We'll see what they do, but it's gonna be interesting to talk about. BT Maverick says they're not going to close down that Hogwarts game. Yeah, that's going to continue, I would imagine. But let's get into what they actually said here. I'm going to try and bring this up. I got this locked and loaded. Now, this is the official Netflix statement, I guess you'd say. I want to read it here. Bear with me. All right. The Netflix to acquire WB following the separation of Discovery Global for a total enterprise value of $82.7 billion. Let's see. Today, Netflix Inc. and Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. announced they have entered into a definitive agreement under which Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers, including its film and television studios, HBO Max, and HBO. Now, also clarified later, it did include WB Gaming, so that was separate. It mentioned by people doing like interviews and stuff like that. uh, releasing statements. The cash and stock transaction is valued at 27.75 per WBD share, subject to a collar as detailed below. This is for investor talk here, with a total enterprise value of approximately $82.7 billion, equity value of $72 billion. The transaction is expected to close after the previously announced separation of WBD's Global Networks division, Discovery Global, into a new publicly traded company, which is now expected to be completed in Q3 2026. Yeah, more than the ABK deal. Yep, Lord Chaos for sure. Now we need a Netflix console. Yeah, only if it can play everything, please. The acquisition brings together two pioneering entertainment businesses, combining Netflix's innovation, global reach, and best-in-class streaming service with Warner Bros. Century-long legacy of world-class storytelling. Beloved franchises, shows, and movies such as The Big Bang Theory, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wizard of Oz, and the DC Universe will join Netflix's extensive portfolio, including Wednesday, Money Heist, Bridgerton, Adolescence, and Extraction, creating an extraordinary entertainment offering for audiences worldwide. Our mission has always been to entertain the world, said Ted Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix. By combining Warner Bros. Incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, we'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. It says this acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come, continued Greg Peters, co-CEO of Netflix. Warner Bros. Has helped define entertainment for more than a century and continues to do so with phenomenal creative executives and production capabilities. With our global reach and proven business model, we can introduce a broader audience to the worlds they create, giving our members more options, attracting more fans to our best-in-class streaming service, strengthening the entire entertainment industry, and creating more value for shareholders. I'll pause there, go to the chat real quick. So Lord Chaos says, so will Max lose all those now, or how's that going to work? Well, going to get into that. It's going to be a lot of speculation we're going to have here. Yeah, the acquisition has not gone through yet. It's just announced. So they're expecting it to go through, it said, Q3 of 2026. That's when they expect it to. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows how long it'll take? I do think it'll eventually actually go through, though. But who knows? Okay, it says today's announcement combines two of the greatest storytelling companies in the world to bring to even more people the entertainment they love to watch the most, said David Zaslav, president and CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery. For more than a century, Warner Bros. Has thrilled audiences, captured the world's attention, and shaped our culture. By coming together with Netflix, we will ensure people everywhere will continue to enjoy the world's most resonant stories and for generations to come. Let's see. Now here we get into some things that they kind of try and explain. Combination will offer more choice, more opportunities, more value. Complementary strength and assets. Warner Brothers Studios are world-class, with Warner Bros. Recognized as a leading supplier of television titles and filmed entertainment. HBO and HBO Max also provide a compelling complementary offering for consumers. Netflix expects to maintain Warner Bros. Current operations and build on its strengths, including theatrical releases for films. So that tells me that they expect to maintain HBO and HBO Max and build upon it. So they want to, I guess, have two separate services, the Netflix service and then still the HBO Max service, maybe eventually offering a bundle, kind of like Hulu and Disney Plus, the ESPN type stuff is what I'm thinking. Possibly, I don't know exactly, but more choice and greater value for consumers. By adding the deep film and TV libraries and HBO Max programming, Netflix members, well, see, this is talking about by adding them to Netflix now. So it says more choice and greater value for consumers. By adding the deep film and TV libraries and HBO Max programming, Netflix members will have even more high quality titles from which to choose. This also allows Netflix to optimize its plans for consumers, enhancing viewing options and expanding access to content. I'm thinking maybe tiers. What are y'all thinking? They may do like different tiers. All right, this is Netflix and HBO. HBO's like included. Like I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it, man. But I'll tell you, like prices are gonna be interesting because like HBO's got a lot of good shit, and that some of the original shows that they have are still some of the most popular. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but it'll be a while, and they got a while to figure it out, I guess. A stronger entertainment industry. This acquisition will enhance Netflix's studio capabilities, allowing the company to significantly expand U.S. production capacity and continue to grow investment in original content over the long term, which will create jobs and strengthen the entertainment industry. More opportunities for the creative community. By uniting Netflix's member experience and global reach with Warner Brothers' renowned franchises and extensive library, the company will create greater value for talent, offer more opportunities to. Obviously, this is all for like, hey, don't block our deal. We're going to tell you all the good things that we are saying is good, but they're not going to tell you the negatives, right? Offer more opportunities to work with beloved intellectual property, telling new stories, and connect with a wider audience than ever before. More value for shareholders. Yeah, okay. This is what it's all about, right? Rainbolt says this still removes a major competitor for Netflix, less choice for consumers. Yeah. So it's it's true. Now this is one of those kind of like lateral moves, that like sometimes the shareholders, or not the shareholders, the like FTC and all that kind of stuff doesn't like. I expect this to be challenged, but we'll see. Under the terms of the agreement, each WBD shareholder will receive this and that, blah, 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 a lot of money. In June 2025, WBD announced plans to separate its streaming and studios and global networks divisions into two separate publicly traded companies. That separation is expected in Q3 2026, prior to the closing. The newly separated publicly traded company holding the global networks division, Discovery Global, will include premier entertainment, sports, and news television brands around the world, including CNN, TNT Sports in the U.S., and Discovery free-to-air channels across Europe, and digital products such as Discovery Plus and Bleacher Report. So that's just saying what Discovery will be. More talk about shares. Transaction was unanimously approved by the boards of directors of both Netflix and WBD, in addition to the completion of the separation of Discovery Global. Completion of the transaction is subject to required regulatory approval of WBD shareholders, and other customary closing conditions. Transaction is expected to close in 12 to 18 months. So it's going to be a while. And after it happens, we'll see how it all shakes out. We'll see how all of these things happen. Like what's going to transpire. I don't know. Now, this doesn't go into all the detail, though. It gives some, hey, should we just call these phone numbers like contacts? Should we just like call Lowell Singer, the VP Investor Relations? Should we call Emily Feingold, the VP of Communications, and ask some questions? Should we call Andrew Slavin for WB Discovery and ask some questions? Yeah, no, let's not do that. Important information and where to find it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, I want to move on to some other stuff here. This is from Variety. article where there was some statements made or whatever. Netflix says WB movies will remain in theaters, but windows will evolve to be much more consumer friendly. So, what they're talking about is when these WB movies come out and hit the theaters, they're talking about bringing them to streaming services like a lot sooner. Ted Sarandos insisted that Netflix has no opposition to movies in theaters. As the streamer said, it expects to release WB films theatrically if it completes its $82.7 billion deal for the studio and HBO Max. It says, on a conference call with investors and press on Friday, the Netflix co-CEO noted that the company has released 30 films in cinemas in 2025, though most of those films have had a far shorter theatrical run than those from a typical studio. It's not like we have this opposition to movies in theaters, he said. My pushback has been mostly in the fact of the long exclusive windows, which we don't really think are that consumer friendly. But when we talk about keeping HBO operating largely as it is, that answers our question there as well. That also includes their output movie deal with WB, which includes a life cycle that starts in the movie theater, which we're going to continue to support. However, Sarandos suggested that life cycle may soon change or, in his words, evolve. I wouldn't look at this as a change in approach for Netflix movies or for Warner movies, he said. I think over time, the windows will evolve to be much more consumer friendly, to be able to meet the audience where they are quicker. I'd say right now, you should count on everything that is planned on going to the theater through Warner Brothers will continue to go to the theaters through Warner Brothers. And Netflix movies will take the same strides they have. Which is some of them do have a short run in the theater beforehand. But our primary goal is to bring first run movies to our members because that's what they're looking for. I will agree with that, like, to an extent. Like, yeah, I love when they release the big theater movies, you know what I mean? But, like, also, if you're a sub to a service, you want that shit too, you know? So it's kind of like a... Here's an example. Like, Mission Impossible came to theaters. The latest Mission Impossible. But, man, it's taken it forever to fucking come to streaming services. It's like, in this day and age now, like, should we have to wait that long? Because they just want to sell. Okay, they want to do the theater run, then they want to sell everybody the movie at home, and then eventually they're going to give it to you in their subservice. But, like, as a person who pays for that subservice that the movie will eventually be going into, I think it's a Paramount movie, right? Like, if you have Paramount Plus, you should want that in there a lot sooner than it takes to get the damn movie there. Just saying. So I agree with that to an extent. I like the theater releases, and then, like, hey, let's do like a couple months, you know, like waiting like 4 or 5, 6 months is sometimes a little egregious in my opinion. But anyway, Netflix primarily releases its films on its streaming platform, though it does debut certain films in theaters and gives them a limited exclusive run in cinemas. These are usually awards contenders such as Noah Baumbach's Jay Kelly, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and Catherine Bigelow's A House of Dynamite. Netflix has also announced it will release Greta Gerwig's Narnia, The Magician's Nephew in IMAX venues next year. Company has also bought and refurbished theaters, including the Paris in New York and the Egyptian in Los Angeles. When Netflix was competing with Paramount and Comcast for WB Discovery, the streamer informed the company execs that it would honor WB's contractual agreements to release movies in theaters if it acquires the assets, according to sources familiar with the talks. In a statement accompanying the announcement of the pact to buy WB, Netflix confirmed that it expects to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations and build on its strengths, including theatrical releases for films. Theater owners are skeptical of the deal, noting that Netflix has often been dismissive of their business. In an interview last year, Sarando suggested that movie theaters were outdated. He had said, if you're fortunate enough to live in Manhattan and you can walk to a multiplex and see a movie, that's fantastic. Sarandos told Time Magazine editor-in-chief Sam Jacobs at the Time 100 Summit last spring, most of the country cannot. In a statement following the announcement of the deal, Cinema United, the exhibition industry's largest trade group, slammed the pact. The proposed acquisition of WB by Netflix poses an unprecedented threat to the global exhibition business. The negative impact of this acquisition will impact theaters from the biggest circuits to one-screen independents in small towns in the U.S. and around the world. Cinema United stands ready to support industry changes that lead to increased movie production and give consumers more opportunities to enjoy a day at the local theater. But Netflix's stated business model does not support theatrical exhibition. In fact, it is the opposite. Regulators must look closely at the specifics of this proposed transaction and understand the negative impact it will have on consumers, exhibition, and the entertainment industry. So, of course, the theater companies are going to be against it, as Netflix is known for not even having, that many theater releases and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, BT Mavericks is probably some kind of Tom Cruise deal. Yeah, maybe, with the whole Mission Impossible thing. But like another one is like F1 finally hit streaming services, I think, like this week. And that came around the same week as Mission Impossible. And it's like, let's go. Like, we shouldn't have to fucking wait this long, Damara Code Dude says AFAIK, Netflix's attempt at games failed. Them owning gaming studios does not fill me with confidence. Shout out to BT Maverick for sharing. That's how I found the stream. Hey, appreciate you sharing, BT Maverick. Thanks for DeMarco. Fuck, I can't read. DeMarco, dude. Yeah, shout out to you, DeMarco. Thanks for hopping in. Yeah, no worries, Brett. Glad you're here. Mr. Kima, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, I mean, the implications of this are huge. I mean, I put out a tweet earlier with my main questions. And my main questions are, what's going to happen with DC stuff? What's going to happen with WB Gaming and also the Netflix gaming subscription? And then will HBO and Netflix become some kind of joined thing? And they're saying they're going to keep things kind of operating as normal. But normal hasn't really been working out for WB. So you expect there to be a lot of changes. And obviously they have bigger plans with this. You know what I mean? They have bigger implications, like grand strategy with this whole thing. Now, interesting reading that report again, much like when WB Discovery happened. When we read all the actual news, big press release, gaming is fucking absent from any of the mentions there. Like, they don't even talk about it. It isn't until we actually see other things where they actually make statements. Yeah, the gaming shit's included too. But like the main thing they're talking about in all of that was HBO Max, DC Universe, stuff like that. And, I'm also curious about the damn games. I got some great gaming studios. They have a lot of IP, and what's going to happen? According to this tweet, WB Games is included in Netflix. This is from Game Developer. I'm going to read this. Yes, Netflix is acquiring WB Warner Brothers games. So, a Warner Brothers spokesperson has confirmed the video game division will be acquired by Netflix alongside its wider streaming and television business. So, notably, a Warner Brothers Discovery spokesperson has confirmed that Warner Brothers Games is included in the transaction. When discussing the move, Netflix, which has been attempting to make inroads into the video game industry, largely focused on the benefits of purchasing Warner Brothers' vast suite of intellectual properties and television and movie studios, including HBO and HBO Max. The acquisition will improve our offering, accelerate our business, blah, 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 blah. I want to get to the gaming shit. Okay, I want to get to the gaming shit. Okay, here we go. For those operating within the game industry, however, there is an elephant in the room. Warner Brothers Games, and indeed any mention of the word games outside of name drops for Squid Game and Game of Thrones, was largely absent from the announcements and SEC filings issued by both companies. Much like when that happened with WB Discovery, it took like people asking questions to figure out if the games department was included, right? And WB Games was briefly referenced during a conference call held this morning when the Mortal Kombat logo was shown on a business overview slide to highlight Warner Brothers' wider game and consumer product exploits. But that blink and you'll miss it moment was largely it. Then, in a brief call with game developer, a Warner Brothers Discovery spokesperson confirmed the recently restructured video game division, which includes studios such as Mortal Kombat creator NetherRealm, Batman Arkham developer Rocksteady, and Lego custodian TT Games, will be joining Netflix. To what end remains to be seen. The rest of the chatter between Netflix co-CEOs Greg Peters and Ted Sarandos was acutely focused on the movie and television business and the reach of WB franchise slate. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, they just don't talk about the gaming shit at all. And I remember when the WB Discovery thing happened, we kind of talked about that on some of our shows and stuff. It was like, it's just so weird that you have this massive part of the business that isn't even discussed with any of this. And then you have to like see comments made in interviews and other kind of shit about it. And it's like they almost like feel like they like want to sweep it under the rug, like, hey, this isn't a big thing, so let's not even talk about it much, because they don't want it to bring up any kind of hurdles. It's like they're just like, hey, yeah, this is there, but we're gonna make the big thing about movies, and you know, it's just weird, man. We expect to attract and retain more subscribers, drive more engagement, and generate incremental revenue and operating income. But we already read this stuff. Yeah, again, like just not much mention of the gaming stuff. But yeah, there's there's an image that they have. I'm gonna try and bring this up here. This image that they got. This business overview image. It's the film and TV studios, WBDC Studios. Established TV franchises and library like Friends, Big Bang Theory, blah, blah, blah. Two of the most popular all-time film franchises. They say Harry Potter, and they show Superman there, so I'm guessing they're just talking about DC. HBO Max. TV production. Show a bunch of shows, Game of Thrones, and blah, 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 blah. And then just this little corner over here, games and consumer product and experiences. And they show Mortal Kombat. So, like, I remember after the WB Discovery deal and Hogwarts Legacy, it, like, hit a home run for them. And they were just like, oh my god, this gaming shit's amazing. Like, that's when they started talking about gaming. But it's like this little, like, stepchild in the room that's like, okay, well, we have to take care of this thing too, I guess. So some are speculating that, hey, maybe the gaming part will get dissolved and the company sold off. Maybe they will embrace it and actually use it to grow Netflix gaming into something even more substantial. I don't know, man. But the whole thing's strange, and like Netflix owning DC, like having the rights for the DC universe, all of that stuff. So like for movies in the future, like they're in the middle of this whole big new DC universe thing, right? Like James Gunn is taking it over, has taken it over. They're in the beginning stages of it. They released Superman. Superman did well, right? They have their shows out there and stuff they're still doing. The Penguin show was absolutely fantastic. If you guys haven't watched Penguin on HBO, it was great. Colin Farrell was insane as Penguin in that show, just absolutely amazing. There's reports about Batman 2, the new Batman movie, and talking about I guess the newest news was Zoe Kravitz wasn't going to be returning, and I think oh gosh, who was it? Was it Scarlett Johansson is potentially going to be a villain? I didn't even see who, but yeah, it's going to be a villain in there. So it's interesting. I need to look at that and see who she's going to be. But yeah, they're in the middle of this whole thing. Like DC is trying to finally get us something like that actually makes some damn sense out there as something that's cohesive and put together and build that you can build upon, kind of like what Marvel did with the MCU. I feel like they could have had that if they had not sabotaged themselves with all the Snyderverse, but they did. So now there's, hey, it's the Gunverse. We could call it that. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's off to a good start. It was off to a good start, but now we're gonna have a second whole acquisition thing happen within this new era of DC again. So with different people in the mix, different ideas, different subscription services in there, how are they gonna shuffle all this? Are they just gonna keep things going as they had planned? Let it all play out? I don't know. Is Rocksteady going to be making the new Batman game? You gotta hope so. You gotta hope so that that's actually going to happen. What happens with Mortal Kombat and NetherRealm? Are they going to embrace that? Are they going to lean into the Mortal Kombat movie franchise as well again? Because they've been trying to grow that too, and a new one is. I don't think it came out yet, right? Now, because the new one's supposed to be coming out. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy implications, like Netflix gaming subscription. Like they're starting to add more decent, valuable content into that subscription that is attractive. Are they going to use this and actually put all these like WB games into Netflix games? Are they gonna do that? That'd be pretty fucking cool for Netflix subscribers. Oh man, it's just like huge things. There's so many questions. There's so many questions. Like Netflix owns fucking. I mean, I don't know if you guys all feel the same as I do, but like the biggest thing that just jumps to the forefront of your mind with this is Netflix owns DC. Owns the rights to DC films, right? Like they that's crazy. Yeah, 3-bit. It's almost like we're trying to read their statements 3-bit about HBO Max, but it's like contradictory because in one sentence it's like, hey, we want to take what's established and continue it and grow upon it. Keep HBO, keep all these other things. But then in another statement, it's like we're adding more value to Netflix subscribers by adding all this content. So it's like, are you adding value of the titles by adding them to Netflix, or are you going to just still maintain HBO Max? So there could be bundles, like you said, could be tiers, you know. Don't know. Right. BT Mavericks is probably like this is what I was saying earlier, kind of like maybe like what Hulu and was happening with Hulu and Disney. You know, like I think over time, what's going to happen is we're going to have like maybe like three major sub services. You know, that's going to incorporate all of the things, and they're going to be expensive, each one of them. I mean, they're already getting pretty crazy. But like, is there a time when it was like we have just three major players in the subscription model? Like you have like Netflix that owns like this conglomerate of companies. Then you let's say like you have like Amazon that owns all these different things, and then maybe like Apple or something. And it's like, which one do you want to subscribe to? There's three, or maybe you get all three, and it costs us the same that we used to fucking pay for when we had cable, with all the add-ons for HBO and Param or Showtime and Cinemax and all that shit. Remember that? I mean, pretty crazy. There will be tears, not tears, Brett says. But yeah, the gaming side, it's interesting to think about. Like, Netflix obviously is interested in gaming, right? I mean, Netflix has their whole Netflix gaming thing. So if they're not, I mean, they obviously have an interest in it. And now they have like a whole library and catalog, deep history of games, like a deep history that they can go to and add to their service. Do they do that? Do they go and add all of those fucking history of all the Mortal Kombat's and all of the fucking like the Harry Potter stuff? You got all of the Arkham games and all the DC. Do they go and add all those? Or do they decide, hey, we're going to start doing deals with more companies and like license stuff out more for other companies to make shit? Or do they try and handle everything just in house? Like, I don't know, man. Because like Disney, they still have their service. I mean, Disney has huge subscription services for movies and TV, but they decide to license out Star Wars and Marvel and all these other kind of things to other game companies to make. But they tried in the past numerous times to run game studios and they ended up leaving the business. So now they decide, hey, to have other companies make their games. But then in recent reports, they're like talking about, hey, actually, we should be the ones to make the games again. So it's tough to say what they're going to do. Now, Netflix, they have the studios, but is that going to be enough for them, the studios that they have, to be able to output as much as they want to? I would argue that, licensing stuff out allows for a lot more possibilities with different creations and games. As long as they still own the rights to the property, then you're not really risking that much. Also, you're kind of going to be taking a little bit of risk away from yourself. DeMarco Du says Netflix raised prices and reported a 17% year-over-year increase to profit. So people didn't cancel. They will probably raise even more now for the games and Max integration. Even though I don't care about 98% of what Netflix makes. It's like, that's the thing with all these sub services is like right when after you cancel, they come out with something you want to watch again. Like they probably just had a massive surge of subscribers for Stranger Things. And they probably have a massive surge when Wednesday comes out. Like when the new season of whatever show is people's favorite or most popular. But they got some good stuff, and they do have some decent movies too. Like sometimes there's a Netflix original movie that is on there, and it's like, hey, that's actually pretty damn good. They have a lot of the Adam Sandler stuff. It's still a big draw for a lot of people as well. Like it's interesting what they're doing. Like that Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro movie, that was pretty cool. Like they are tr- actually producing a lot of content. The thing is, like, you're right, that there's like not, it's not necessarily everything for everybody. Like, but they got some massive properties. Like Squid Games is huge, you know. That's something that's interesting too. Is like with subservices and especially Netflix, like the global reach for their shows is pretty outstanding because like you have shows or movies that are from another country become like number one and it ends up becoming number one globally, even though that's something that like used to you would have to like seek out back in the day, like what's like good foreign films or blah 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 blah, because like they would never show that shit on TV here. But now like these things globally are like right in front of your face, so you have stuff from all over the world being made or being made for different countries originally, or but now it's like they become massive phenomenons, like Squid Games or like there's the Samurai Battle Royale show that just came out as well, right? And it's pretty cool seeing that kind of stuff become massive phenomenons everywhere, including here, where back in the day that's not something that would have happened. So like Netflix is making shit all over the world for all different kinds of audiences, and that's pretty cool to see. That's one of the benefits actually of streaming services, in my opinion, as opposed to just where we used to just get force fed what they wanted us to see. Now it's like, hey, things can become popular more naturally or organically, kind of like what happened with music after they went to a subservice model as well. Like, it's not just going to be what's popular on the radio. Like, there's independent artists now that got millions and millions of followers and listeners, right? That because they're more discoverable. But yeah, it's like there's a lot of benefits to it. Like it's gonna be crazy. Like how much emphasis do they put into Harry Potter and DC and you know some of these other properties that they have? Is that going to become like what they're all about? Like somebody's got to manage it though, like better than WB has themselves. Like it is crazy to me how WB could have so much. They have great developers, right, for gaming. They have great property for game for their IP, and yet it takes them forever to release stuff, and they keep canceling things, changing things, doing all this other dick around shit instead of just releasing games, and they bite themselves in the ass. So the same thing they do with their movies. It's like there's just such mismanagement over their properties there. And it's like they got talent and they have good things, but they people at the top keep making horrible decisions and they keep wiffle waffing and all these other shit like, what, let's do this, do that, let's do this, let's do that. What I hope happens is some kind of good, clear vision gets implemented and they get their shit straight because they have talent and they got the properties. One thing that Netflix does well is they produce content. They also do honestly give pretty good creative freedom to the creators that are making the original content for them. Like Stranger Things, became a phenomenon. Squid Games became a phenomenon. All these different companies making these shows and stuff all seem to have like they're making what they want to make. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes, but it's crazy. The gaming side is going to be the most interesting thing for me to watch besides what happens with DC. Like, are we gonna hear the dong right before we play Mortal Kombat? When you buy the new Mortal Kombat, it's gonna have the Netflix Games logo, then the WB, the NetherRealm. Are they gonna move on from the game studios? Are they gonna start selling them off and downsizing and just I don't know, man. Yeah, 3-Bit says, yeah, this may make it so DC is more organized. Like, that's what we could hope, maybe. DeMarco Dude says most of Netflix and its creations are powered by algorithmic focus groups to focus on retention, not quality. Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I think that's a lot of just corporate shit, the way things go these days, and I think most of that stuff doesn't work out. I mean, that's what you call like the chewing gum bullshit stuff that's used to kind of fill in the fodder of the sub for content. You know, the potatoes to go with the steak. You know what I mean? Like it's like you got to have that there to keep people happy until the next steak comes out. You know, but when the next steak comes out from Netflix, it's usually pretty damn good. You know, and that's usually like, okay, this is not necessarily just like, yeah, it was a creator that had a vision to make what they were making, and it stands out. That's kind of the same across all of these companies and the stuff that they make. The creators at the top are really the important pieces. Like, who's the visionary that's creating this work of art, and how is it going to be presented to us? What is the story they're trying to tell? And the less roadblocks that they put in those creators' ways, usually the better, right? Um, so we'll see. I think that Netflix has largely done a good job with that stuff. Um, they got great documentaries. They have great shows. I would say that they haven't done as good a job with movies as they have with other things, but they do have some good movies I really enjoyed as well, original ones. So, overall, I think that they do a good job of original content. But this is the thing is it's different about this is like this is not original new content they're acquiring. This is some of the most beloved properties and IP that they're acquiring. So there's like a different kind of responsibility you have when you are taking on something that was like, okay, this is already treasured and has this like super long history with this massive fan base, bigger than anything we have ourselves. Like Netflix doesn't have anything themselves that they've created that comes close to DC as a whole. Right? Like, just in general, the characters, the story, the lore, the history, as long as it's been around, like, they don't have anything that comes close to that. They're bringing something that is treasured, like, immensely, and they're bringing in some of the biggest brands in media history. And it's going to be interesting how they treat that, because that's kind of new territory for them. Like, that's kind of new territory for Netflix. Now WB is coming in as a part of this, so that's not new for WB, right? But Netflix is the daddy, right? Like, Netflix is the daddy. Like, this is going to be interesting how these decisions all get played out, and making decisions going forward with these companies and stuff, when they're the ones that are going to be kind of forcing and pushing the issue, and leading the way there. And how are our favorite things treated? What kind of content do they put out? Can't wait to find out. And with gaming too. Chernobyl was 100%. Chernobyl was amazing. I mean, HBO itself has great fucking shows too, man. I mean, like, Game of Thrones is known by many to be like one of the greatest shows of all time. Like, there's just several. Sopranos was HBO. Like, there's tons of stuff on HBO that is lauded as being some of the best shows ever too. So, I mean, they're bringing those into the fold also. What are they going to do with those IPs and properties? Crazy. Um, Mr. Waffle says, who would have thought a startup DVD rental company would end up acquiring WB? Yeah, like back in the day. Yeah, I mean, just think about that. Like back in the day, what was it like 2007 or 8 or something like that? When we had our Xbox 360s, we're all in, many of us are doing Netflix by mail. I don't think we ever did Netflix by mail, did we? Yeah, I always thought it was like, fuck, I'll just go to the movie store down the street and rent something. I never or yeah, or when Redbox came out, we did that. Yeah, but like Netflix came out and people were doing the whole movies by mail thing, and then the 360 app came out, and it was like digital content, right? And everybody was like, oh, like DVDs are dying, all this stuff. How's Netflix going to maintain their business? Um, well, I mean, to think about the company that Netflix was then, as it was starting and growing and turning into what it was, to now being big enough to acquire WB for $83 billion. That little, like you said, that little DVD rental company where you send in your movies by mail just acquired Batman. Like, it's crazy. Like Harry Potter, like all of these properties, right? WB Games, they have a gaming division. They have a massive growing subscription service. It's fucking nuts, man. Yeah, that Rainbolt says Netflix got Squid Games because it needed content. By now owning a major studio, they don't need to take a chance with a property like that. Like, remember the party watch function with the 360 Netflix app? Yeah, I never really used that though. I think like, did we ever even use that? No, this is like way before COVID. Like it had the little picture of like people sitting in like theater seats down there. Um, I can't remember. There was something we watched with friends one time. Yeah, I don't remember. No, Discord wasn't even a thing then. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Um, yeah, it's crazy, man. But we'll see. This is huge news. So there's a lot of people in the industry, in the movies industry, that are really not happy about this. Um, I don't know how the gaming division people are feeling. I think it's going to have a lot of implications at those studios, but we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I just wanted to kind of cover this stuff because it was so massive, um, and kind of crazy. Like who would have thought that Netflix was going to be the winners? I if I would have guessed before, I thought I would think Amazon could have ended up pulling out a win for WB. Like Netflix didn't enter my mind really. I just didn't know if they were even interested. I guess I haven't been reading reports and stuff. Maybe they were, but Netflix, DC, NetherRealm, WB Games, Harry Potter, HBO, Game of Thrones. Massive, massive news. Can't wait to see how it shakes out. Thanks y'all for watching. Appreciate it. We'll be live. I'll be live probably more this weekend playing some games. Maybe do some streaming. And besides that, next Thursday, special podcast show because we have the Game Awards. So we'll see what big announcements get made there. We'll see if Jeff Keighley has any special things to say, like Remember when he took a shot at Microsoft at the Game Awards for acquiring ABK after layoffs and stuff like that? You know, I wonder if he'll have anything to say about this. I doubt it. But anyway, we will be covering the Game Awards here on Thursday. So if you want to find a place to watch it, hey, hang out with us. Yeah, we'll be co-streaming it as always next Thursday. So have a good one, everybody. Take it easy. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining RSJ, Mr. Waffles, Rainbolt, BT Maverick, DeMarco Dude, 3-Bit, Jax82. You guys absolutely rock and appreciate each and every one of you. Have a good one. Peace out.